The story begins with Chris, a military officer on a secret mission in Kenya. His task is to rescue 4 hostages being held by Taliban terrorists. When he reaches their location, he discovers that 3 of the hostages have already been killed, but 1 is still alive. His superior officers tell him to abandon the mission and return because risking everything for 1 person is not worth it. However, Chris refuses to follow orders and goes alone to rescue the final hostage. He fights his way through the terrorists and finds 1 man holding the hostage at gunpoint. The man threatens to kill the hostage unless a helicopter is arranged immediately. Chris stays calm, lowers his weapon, and says he needs a phone to call for the helicopter. As soon as the man points toward the phone on the table, Chris shoots him and saves the hostage. But Chris is injured during the mission. After completing the mission, Chris returns to America. He wants to spend time with his wife, Jessica, so they go on vacation to Italy. The next morning, Chris wakes up and finds Jessica missing. As he searches for her, several armed men attack him. Chris fights them off, but while leaving the room, 1 man injects him with a sedative. When Chris wakes up, he finds himself tied up in a dark room. A man named Alex introduces himself and asks who gave Chris information about the hostages in Kenya. Chris says he knows nothing and was only following orders. Alex does not believe him and brings Jessica in front of him. He threatens her and asks the same question again. Chris insists that he truly does not know anything. Alex becomes angry, kills Jessica, and then shoots Chris as well. Later, Chris is shown lying on an advanced ventilator. Somehow, he survives and wakes up inside the RST facility. There, Dr. Mike tells him that it is a place where scientists experiment on humans and give them a new life. Chris cannot remember anything about his past. Mike asks him for his name, rank, and serial number, but Chris cannot remember any of it. Mike tells Chris that the US military donated his body to them. If they had not brought him there, he would have been buried in a grave. Chris cannot believe it because he remembers being injured, but not being close to death. He asks to see his family, but Mike's assistant, Lisa, explains that the military only donates bodies of people who have no family or anyone left to identify them. Dr. Mike reveals that Chris has tiny particles called nanites inside his body. He injures Chris's hand, and instead of blood, dark particles begin to come out. Under a microscope, Chris sees millions of nanites moving through his body and repairing the wound instantly. Mike explains that these nanites can heal even severe injuries within seconds. Mike shows Chris a mouse whose nanites are fighting cancer inside its body. Mike himself used to be a tennis champion, but cancer forced doctors to remove one of his arms. Instead of giving up, he created a new arm for himself, one even stronger than the original. Later, he began helping other injured people. Lisa has a device in her throat that helps her breathe. Jason lost his eyes during a bombing in Iraq, but cameras inside his body allow him to see things invisible to normal eyes. Luke lost both of his legs in Afghanistan, but Mike's technology allows him to walk again. Chris is given time alone. He tries to remember his old life, but he only sees blurry images. He begins having nightmares. To calm himself down, he goes to the gym. He punches a heavy bag, and his hand goes straight through it. He tests his strength on a concrete pillar, and the nanites repair his injuries immediately. Even 100-kilogram weights feel as light as toys to him. One day, he sees Lisa swimming in the pool. Lisa asks why he is still awake. Chris says he has been having nightmares. Lisa finds it strange because he cannot remember his past, so she wonders how he can still have dreams about it. They go to a bar together. When a song begins playing, Chris suddenly feels a sharp pain in his head, and his memories start returning. He remembers that Jessica was murdered and that Alex was the man responsible. Chris leaves to take revenge. Mike tries to stop him, but Chris refuses to listen. The nanites inside Chris connect him to the internet, allowing him to gather information about Alex within seconds. He accesses Interpol's secret database and discovers that Alex is hiding in Hungary. Chris decides to reach Hungary without a passport or visa. He reads an airplane manual and learns how to fly a plane within minutes. Meanwhile, Alex learns that someone is coming to kill him, so he tries to escape. Chris scans the GPS system and identifies Alex's vehicle among thousands of cars. Inside a tunnel, Chris attacks Alex's convoy with a truck. The road is blocked, and Alex's men step outside. They search for Chris, but he suddenly attacks them. Alex survives because his car is bulletproof. Chris is shot many times, but the nanites heal every injury. Alex's men throw grenades and shoot Chris repeatedly, but he keeps getting back up. Eventually, Chris breaks through the vehicle's defenses and reaches Alex. Alex begs for his life and says everything Mike told Chris about him is a lie. But Chris does not listen and kills him. After taking revenge, Chris returns to the RST facility. The team notices that his nanites are losing power. Chris tells Lisa that he saw fear in Jessica's killer's eyes, but killing him did not bring Jessica back. Then Luke shuts down Chris's body control. He reveals that Jessica was never really dead and that Chris is only a pawn in their plan. They fill Chris with hatred, give him new targets, and send him out to kill. Luke presses a button and erases Chris's memories. The old nanites are removed from his body and replaced with new ones. It is then revealed that Dr. Mike and his team use computer-generated memories to manipulate Chris again and again. Each time, they create a new version of Jessica's murder, change the killer's face, and send Chris out fueled by revenge. Chris believes he is acting on his own, but he is actually being controlled by Mike. Lisa begins to feel that what they are doing is wrong. She says Chris deserves the right to make his own choices, but Mike claims they have too many enemies and must eliminate them. He promises this will be the final time, after which they will sell their technology and make money. Chris is given the same fake memories once again. This time, he is sent to England to kill a man named Nick. Nick is already prepared and tells his men to bring weapons. Chris pretends to die after being shot, allowing him to enter the house. Once inside, he takes down Nick's men. Inside Nick's house is a hacker named Eric, who is being held captive. Nick has forced him to build a device capable of shutting down nanites. Eric is an extremely skilled hacker. When Chris is about to kill Nick, Nick tries to explain the truth, but Chris shoots him before listening. Eric activates the device, shutting down Chris's nanites. Mike cannot contact Chris because Eric cuts off the power in the area. Eric uses electricity to bring Chris back to consciousness. Chris initially tries to attack him, but Eric explains that he is trying to help. Chris tells Eric that he has dreamed of Jessica being killed many times, and each time the killer was different. Eric realizes that Chris's memories are fake. He tells Chris that what he believes is real may actually be a lie. Chris then realizes he never even tried to find Jessica. Maybe she is still alive. Eric agrees to help Chris. Chris gives him samples of the nanites from his body and asks if he can reprogram them so Chris can regain control over himself. Eric agrees. Chris travels to London and goes to his old house. The door opens and Jessica is standing there. She is emotional when she sees him, but when Chris says he has come back, Jessica steps away. Chris notices that she now has a daughter and a new family. Jessica asks him to leave. Chris realizes that more than 5 years have passed since he was believed to be dead. He quietly walks away. He finally understands that Mike has been using him as a weapon for the past 5 years. On his way back, Luke and Jason attack him. Luke fires a special bullet that freezes Chris's nanites. Chris tries to escape, but Jason uses drones to track him. Chris takes a police officer's gun and attacks them, managing to escape. Later, Luke catches up to him, but Luke is badly injured when a truck crashes into him. Jason places a transmitter inside Chris's body, reconnecting him to Mike's system. Mike shuts Chris down, and they take him back to the facility. Mike orders Lisa to kill Eric. Lisa refuses at first, so Mike shuts off the breathing device in her throat and threatens her. He tells her that if she disobeys him again, he will not save her next time. Later, Lisa finds Eric, but instead of killing him, she takes down Mike's men and saves Eric. Mike creates a massive simulation for Chris that looks exactly like the real world. He tells Chris that he can live in this fake world if he wants, where he can use all his powers. But Chris does not want a life controlled by someone else. Lisa lies to Mike and says someone warned Eric before she arrived, allowing him to escape. Mike sees Eric as a major threat and decides to send Chris after him again. This time, they create a new target using Eric's face. Meanwhile, Lisa uploads a virus created by Eric into their computer system, putting Mike's entire plan in danger. Chris suddenly sees Lisa standing in front of him. Mike quickly realizes that someone has tampered with his system, but by then it is already too late. Using reverse coding, Eric starts deleting Chris's false memories one by one. Slowly, Chris begins to realize that everything he has been seeing is not real. Lisa connects with Chris's memories and tells him the entire truth. She brings him back to the real world. Because of Eric, Mike's simulation cannot stay intact. As a result, Chris remembers his entire past. Mike wants to punish Lisa for what she has done, so he shuts off her breathing device again. But when he turns around, Lisa is still alive. Eric has freed her from Mike's control as well. Mike orders his men to eliminate all of them. After that, Luke and Jason attach Mike's advanced prototype to their bodies. They become even stronger than before. As Chris tries to leave, Luke blocks his path. He tells Chris that he was the one who planned Jessica's murder. Hearing this, Chris is filled with rage, and a brutal fight begins between them. Because of the prototype, Luke has become extremely powerful, but even he cannot handle Chris's anger. Chris grabs Luke and jumps off a tall building with him. During the fight, Jason also attacks Chris. Together, they try their best to stop him, but defeating Chris is not easy. Chris throws Luke aside and tells Jason to give up, but Jason refuses to back down and keeps attacking him. Luke pushes Chris with great force, sending him falling down. Everyone believes that Chris will never return, but after a while, Chris comes back up using another elevator. He jumps down with such force that the elevator, along with all of them, starts falling. Luke manages to save himself using his mechanical arms. Now both of them are hanging between life and death. Jason cries out for help, but instead of helping him, Luke cuts the cable. Jason falls to the ground. Luke is about to do the same thing to Chris, but before the cable breaks, Chris jumps and grabs Luke's suit. At the same time, he grabs the broken cable with his other hand and pulls Luke down with him. While falling, Chris tears apart Luke's exoskeleton. Luke loses all of his power and falls rapidly toward the ground. Meanwhile, Mike tries to escape, but as soon as he gets into his car, Luke's flying mechanical arm badly damages the vehicle. Chris appears in front of Mike. The fear of death is clearly visible on Mike's face. Trying to save himself, Mike pulls out a rocket launcher and attacks Chris. Chris tries to stop the explosive with his bare hands. A powerful explosion occurs, and the nanites in his body scatter into the air. Eric sees that Chris's nanite energy is rapidly running out. If Chris keeps fighting, Eric will not be able to help him. Even so, Chris's nanites begin repairing his body one last time. Mike realizes that Chris does not have much power left. Mike attacks Chris again, but this time, before the explosive can detonate, Chris's nanites disable it. Mike says, "Your nanites are finished. In just a few seconds, you will be finished too." Chris replies, "I don't need them anymore." Then Chris drops the explosive in his hand. A massive blast follows, and both of them are taken down. Everyone believes that Chris is gone forever, but a few months later, Chris is seen alive again. When he wakes up, Eric is shocked. The good news is that this time, Chris remembers everything. Eric tells him that after his death, he made some necessary changes to the nanites. Now they no longer need to be recharged so often. Chris thanks Eric because he has given him a new life. He tells Lisa, "What Mike did was completely wrong, but he was right about one thing. Our past does not decide what we can become in the future." Chris decides that from now on, he will use his power not to take lives, but to help people. And with that, the movie comes to an end. I hope you enjoyed the story. Thanks for watching.